A man was offered $14.5 million to keep doing what was making him famous. He said no, then he said no again. For 2 years, nobody called. And that silence, is what made him an Oscar winner. The book is called Greenlights, written by Matthew McConaughey. And it's not what you'd expect from a Hollywood actor. This isn't a celebrity memoir full of red carpets and name-dropping. It's 35 years of handwritten journals, poems, scribbled lessons, and something McConaughey calls bumper stickers, compressed into one of the most brutally honest books about what it actually means to live a real life. This video covers every major part of the book, so by the end, you'll have the full picture of what Greenlights actually means and how to start catching more of them yourself. Let's start with something McConaughey learned before he could even drive a car. His parents divorced and remarried each other, then did it again and again 3 times total. His dad once broke his mom's middle finger during a fight. She broke a telephone over his head. And McConaughey calls them the greatest love story he's ever witnessed. That sounds insane. But here's what he means. His parents lived with a kind of raw, unfiltered intensity that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. They fought hard because they loved hard. They didn't play it safe. They didn't keep score. They burned through the rule book and wrote their own. McConaughey calls this outlaw logic. The idea that conventional rules don't apply to people who are genuinely committed to living fully. Not recklessly. Not destructively. Fully. Atch them with everything they've got. Now think about that for a second. Most of us were raised to believe that stability means success, that a quiet house equals a healthy house, that if nobody's yelling, everything must be fine. But McConaughey's childhood taught him something fundamentally different. That passion, even messy, chaotic, sometimes terrifying passion, beats numbness every single time. A life without friction isn't peaceful. It's just asleep. Meet Sam. He's 29 years old. Works as a marketing coordinator at a mid-size firm in Denver and earns $63,400 a year. On paper, Sam's doing fine. His parents are proud. His friends think he's got it figured out. But every Sunday night, Sam feels this weight settle into his chest. A dull pressure that doesn't go away until about Wednesday. When the week is busy enough to drown it out. Sam's life isn't bad. It's just beige, no outlaw logic, no fire. No passion big enough to fight for. Just routine wearing a suit and pretending to be alive. But here's where it gets interesting. McConaughey didn't just stumble into his philosophy by accident. He built it. One journal entry at a time, over 3.5 decades. Starting as a teenager, he began writing down everything. Observations about people. Questions about why things worked the way they did. Tiny rules he discovered through trial and error and heartbreak. He called these bumper stickers. Short, punchy statements about life that stuck with him like bugs on a windshield. Things like, life's barely long enough to get good at one thing. Be careful what you get good at. 35 years of that. Just imagine for a moment what it would feel like to sit down and reread decades of your own thoughts. Watching patterns emerge like constellations you never noticed while you were living under them. That's exactly what happened when McConaughey finally decided to write this book. He wasn't starting from scratch. He was mining 35 years of lived, earned, sometimes painfully extracted wisdom. The book is the journals. The journals are the man. And this is the part most people get completely wrong about journaling. They think it's about writing down what happened today, what you ate for lunch, who you talked to at work, a log of events. But McConaughey's journals weren't diaries. They were arguments with himself, questions without answers, confessions nobody else would ever read. The messy, uncomfortable, sometimes embarrassing kind of honesty that forces clarity whether you want it or not. Sam tried this. After hearing about bumper stickers, he bought a $3 notebook from a gas station on his drive home from work and started writing one sentence every night before bed. Just one. For the first 2 weeks, the sentences were painfully boring. Went to work, had pasta, watched a show. Surface-level nonsense that meant nothing. But on day 15, something shifted. Sam wrote, "I'm scared that if I leave this job, I'll prove everyone right who said I wasn't good enough." He stared at that sentence for 20 minutes. His coffee went cold. He'd never said those words out loud. He'd barely even thought them clearly. But there they were, in his own handwriting, staring back at him from a gas station notebook. The journal didn't give him an answer. It gave him the question he'd been running from for 3 years. Now, here's where McConaughey introduces the framework that gives the entire book its name: green lights, yellow lights, red lights. On the surface, it's almost too simple. Green means go, yellow means slow down and pay attention, red means stop. You've seen these since you were a kid. But McConaughey takes this everyday metaphor somewhere much deeper than you'd expect. His argument is this: every red light you've ever hit, every failure, every rejection, every heartbreak, every humiliation, every time life slammed the brakes on your plans, eventually turns green when you look at it in the rearview mirror. The breakup that destroyed you at 23 led you to the person you actually belong with at 28. The job you got fired from at 30 pushed you into the career you were genuinely meant for. The embarrassment that kept you awake at 3 a.m. taught you the one lesson that saved you years of pain down the road. Red lights aren't permanent, they're temporary. And the meaning of a red light changes completely over time, if you're paying attention. If you're willing to look back and connect the dots instead of just cursing the traffic, it's like driving through a city you don't know. Every red light feels like a personal insult. You're stuck, you're frustrated, you're late. But zoom out to a bird's eye view and you can see something the driver can't. The red light at 5th Street prevented you from being in the intersection when a truck ran a light on 6th. The delay wasn't punishment, it was protection. You just couldn't see it from ground level. Stay with me here because this next idea changes the game. McConaughey didn't just theorize about red lights turning green, he lived it. In the most public, dramatic, financially terrifying way possible. After Dazed and Confused launched his career in 1993, McConaughey became one of Hollywood's most bankable rom-com stars. He was the charming guy, the shirtless surfer dude with the southern drawl, the leading man who always got the girl by the end of Act 3. And it was working, financially at least. Studios were throwing money at him hand over fist. He was famous, wealthy, constantly employed, and recognized everywhere he went. But something was rotting underneath all that success. McConaughey felt like he was playing a character of himself, not acting in the artistic sense, performing in the exhausting sense. There's a massive difference between those two things. He knew he had more range. Darker roles, complex characters, the kind of work that would actually challenge him as a craftsman. But the machine kept feeding him romantic comedies because they sold tickets, and the paychecks kept stacking up. And it was easier to say yes than to burn the whole thing down. So here's what he did. And this is where most people would never have the courage to follow. He stopped. Cold. Completely. Turned down a $14.5 million rom-com offer, then turned down another one, then another. His agents were in full panic mode. His manager literally called it career suicide. For nearly 2 years, Hollywood stopped calling entirely. The phone went dead silent. The offers dried up like a creek in August. The money vanished. Industry people whispered that McConaughey was finished. Can you guess what happened next? Those 2 years of silence. The ones his own team called suicide. McConaughey describes them as some of the most important green lights of his entire life. Because in that silence, a remarkable thing happened. Hollywood was forced to forget who they thought Matthew McConaughey was. The rom-com label started fading. And when directors eventually started thinking about him again, they didn't see the guy from How to Lose a Guy in 10 days. They saw an actor they hadn't figured out yet, an unknown quantity, a mystery. That mystery, that blank space he'd created by subtracting everything false, is exactly what got him the script for Dallas Buyers Club. He lost nearly 50 pounds for the role, played a man dying of AIDS in 1980s Texas, and he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. The red light of silence became the green light of his career. Now pay attention to this because it connects everything we've covered so far. McConaughey calls this principle the arrow doesn't seek the target. Most people spend their lives chasing what they want, hustling for it, begging for it, sending 100 emails, making 1,000 calls, knocking on every door in the building. But McConaughey says, stop. Stop chasing. Instead, become the person that attracts what you're looking for. He didn't audition aggressively for dramatic roles during those 2 silent years. He didn't campaign or lobby or beg casting directors to see him differently. He subtracted. He removed everything that wasn't authentically him. He peeled away the layers of performance and expectation until what was left. The raw, genuine, complicated human underneath naturally drew the right opportunities forward, like a magnet that only works when you stop coating it in plastic. It's like clearing weeds from a garden. You don't plant new seeds into choked, tangled soil and hope for the best. You pull out what doesn't belong first. You create space. You let air and sunlight reach the ground. The flowers were always there, buried underneath. They just couldn't breathe. Sam felt this one deep in his bones. For months, he'd been frantically updating his resume, applying to creative agencies, writing desperate cover letters at midnight, and trying to force his way out of marketing and into filmmaking. Hustling harder than he'd ever hustled. But nothing was landing. Every rejection felt personal. Every ignored application felt like proof that he wasn't good enough. One rainy Thursday in October, Sam stopped. He closed his laptop mid-application, opened his gas station journal, and wrote 7 words. Maybe I need to stop chasing and start becoming. The next week, instead of sending applications, Sam spent his evenings making short films on his phone. No audience in mind, no strategy, no metrics. Just creating for the pure joy of creating, something he hadn't done in years. Within 3 months, a college friend saw one of his videos on social media, shared it with a producer she knew, and Sam got a phone call for a job he'd never applied for. He didn't seek the target. The target found him. And this is where Sam's story takes a turn. Because McConaughey's book isn't just about patience and surrender. It's not telling you to sit on a couch and wait for life to come knocking. There's a second half to this equation. And it's just as important as the first. Be brave. Take the hill. McConaughey frames bravery not as the absence of fear, that's a fairy tale, but as the willingness to act despite the fear. Despite the shaking hands, despite the voice in your head screaming that this is a terrible idea. Taking the hill means charging toward a challenge without any guarantee you'll make it to the top. It means moving forward when you can't see what's ahead. It means doing the very thing your entire nervous system is begging you to avoid. When McConaughey showed up to film Dallas Buyers Club, he was physically transformed. He'd dropped nearly 50 pounds. He was gaunt, fragile, barely recognizable. Playing Ron Woodroof, a man fighting for his life against AIDS in a hostile medical establishment, required something McConaughey had never done before. Complete vulnerability. No charm to hide behind, no easy smile, no shirtless surfer energy. He had to be raw, exposed, and emotionally naked on camera. That's taking the hill, not because it was comfortable or safe, but because it was true. Because pretending would have been a bigger betrayal than failing. Here's the crazy part. He won the Oscar on his first attempt at serious dramatic work after the reinvention. The arrow found its target because McConaughey had spent 2 years becoming someone worthy of that moment. If you only remember one thing from this video, we make it this next part. McConaughey writes about the tension between 2 forces that seem like complete opposites but are actually partners: hustle and surrender. You have to work relentlessly. Prepare, practice, show up, grind until your knuckles are raw. That part is non-negotiable. But then, and this is where it gets uncomfortable, you have to let go. You have to release your death grip on the outcome and trust that the work you've done is enough. The magic doesn't live in hustle alone, and it absolutely doesn't live in surrender alone. It lives in the space between them, in the tension, in the breath between pulling and releasing. Think of it like an archer. You pull the bowstring back with everything you've got. That's the hustle. Your arm shakes, your fingers ache. Every muscle in your body is engaged, trembling with effort. But the arrow doesn't fly until you release, until you open your hand and trust the physics you've set in motion. Hustle without surrender is a bowstring pulled so tight it eventually snaps. Surrender without hustle is a bow that was never drawn in the first place. Sam recognized this pattern in his own life immediately. It was like someone had held up a mirror and pointed at the cracks. He'd always been an all-or-nothing person, either grinding 16-hour days until his eyes burned, or collapsing into weeks of doing absolutely nothing, recovering from the burnout. There was no middle ground, no rhythm, no balance between effort and ease. After sitting with this concept for a week, Sam tried something radically different. He committed to 4 focused hours of creative work every morning. No phone, no email, no social media, no distractions of any kind, pure creation. But after those 4 hours were up, he stopped, deliberately, intentionally. He went for long walks along the river near his apartment. He cooked dinner slowly, chopping vegetables with actual attention. He let ideas come to him like birds landing on a branch instead of chasing them through the forest with a net. Within 6 weeks, Sam produced more creative work. Real, finished, honest work than he had in the previous 6 months. Not by working harder, not by sleeping less, by learning when to pull and when to release. Okay, so if all of that was surprising, wait until you hear this last piece. The final chapter of McConaughey's philosophy might be the most powerful and the most uncomfortable to sit with. Live your legacy now. Most people think about legacy as something that gets written after they're gone. A eulogy read to a room of crying relatives, a Wikipedia page, the stories people tell at your funeral while eating little sandwiches. Something that exists only in the past tense. Only after the final chapter has been written by someone else. But McConaughey flips this completely upside down. He says, don't wait until you're on your deathbed to think about what your life actually means. Live it now, today, this afternoon. Every single day is a page in the story you're writing. Every decision is a sentence. Every year is a chapter. And the only person holding the pen, the only person who gets to decide what goes on that page, is you. His 35 years of journals aren't just material for a best-selling book. They are his legacy. Every bumper sticker scribbled on a napkin at a diner, every philosophical argument he had with himself at 2 a.m. in a cheap motel, every honest, raw, sometimes embarrassing confession written in notebooks he never expected anyone to read. That is the examined life. And the examined life, McConaughey argues with the confidence of a man who's actually lived one, is the only life that's genuinely worth living. There's a difference between a good time and a good life. McConaughey writes that line, and it hits like a freight train. Because how many of us are optimizing for good times? The vacation, the promotion, the weekend, the purchase, while completely ignoring whether we're building a good life? Good times are episodes. A good life is the whole series. And you don't build a series worth watching by chasing highlights. You build it by showing up for the boring episodes too. Sam sat with this one for a long time. Days, actually. He realized something uncomfortable. He'd been living in drafts his entire adult life. Everything was temporary and provisional. This apartment is temporary. This job is just for now. This relationship might not last, so don't invest too much. He was treating his own existence like a rough sketch he'd clean up someday when conditions were perfect. But someday never comes, does it? Someday is an address that doesn't exist on any map. So Sam made a decision, a small one that felt enormous. He stopped saying someday and started saying today. He framed his best short film, the one he'd made on his phone during those 3 creative months, and hung it on his living room wall. Not because anyone asked him to, not because it won an award, because it mattered to him, and that was enough. He called his mom on a random Tuesday evening and told her he loved what she'd sacrificed for him growing up. Not at Christmas, not on her birthday, on a completely ordinary day, which made it feel extraordinary. He started living his legacy instead of postponing it. And the weight that had lived in his chest every Sunday night started, slowly, to lift. Here are 5 things you can start doing right now based on what we just covered. First, start a bumper sticker journal. Don't write paragraphs. Don't try to be eloquent or impressive. Write one single sentence every night. And the most honest thing you felt or learned or noticed that day. Do it for 30 days straight without reading back. Then, on day 31, sit down and read all 30 entries at once. The patterns will shock you. You'll see what you actually care about, what's secretly draining you, and what you've been too afraid to say out loud, even to yourself. This isn't about building a writing habit. It's about discovering what's already true. Second, Identify your comfortable red lights. Ask yourself honestly, what in your life looks like success from the outside, but feels like a cage from the inside? A high-paying job you quietly hate? A relationship that's perfectly fine, but not remotely alive? A routine that's efficient but soul-crushing? McConaughey turned down $14.5 million because the money was a red light disguised as green. The comfort was the trap. Name your disguised red lights. Write them in your journal. You don't have to quit tomorrow, but you have to stop pretending they're green lights. Third, practice the pull and release. Pick one area of your life where you've been grinding without seeing results. Give it everything you've got for a focused period. 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever feels right and sustainable. Work with intensity and purpose. But then, deliberately step back. Stop pushing. Let the work breathe. Stop checking for results every 5 minutes. Watch what happens when you stop white-knuckling the outcome and trust the effort you've already invested. The arrow flies when you release it, not when you squeeze tighter. Fourth, subtract before you add. Before chasing new opportunities, new skills, new habits, new connections, ask yourself a harder question. What needs to be removed first? What commitments are cluttering your life that you agreed to out of obligation? What relationships are you maintaining out of guilt rather than genuine care? What version of yourself are you performing every day for people who wouldn't even notice if you stopped? Strip those away. Create space. What's left underneath is closer to the real you. And the real you, uncluttered and unmasked, catches far more green lights. Fifth, live one piece of your legacy today, not next month. Not after you get the promotion, or finish the project, or move to the new city. Today. Call someone you love and tell them exactly what they mean to you. Use specific words, not generic ones. Finish the one thing you've been putting off for months that you know matters. Make the decision you've been avoiding because the wrong choice feels safer than any choice. Your legacy isn't a story that gets told after you're gone. It's the story you're writing right now, one honest sentence at a time. Pick up the pen. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful and gave you something real to think about. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.